In a room packed with billionaires, one man made a mistake that would cost him everything. Cameras flashed as he reached out, then stopped. Right in front of everyone, he turned his back on a black woman standing alone beside him. No handshake, no explanation, just raw humiliation. She didn't argue, didn't react. She simply smiled and walked away. But within weeks, his $5 billion empire would begin collapsing piece by piece. Who was this woman he had dismissed so casually? How did that single moment awaken the most expensive lesson of his life? Her name was Amara Lewis. To the crowd that day, she looked like a nobody, soft-spoken, modestly dressed, no entourage trailing behind her. No one guessed that the quiet woman clutching a slim portfolio had built one of the most powerful investment firms most people had never heard of. The conference was meant to finalize a partnership between Amara's company and billionaire real estate magnate Harrison Caldwell. For 2 years, negotiations had moved behind closed doors. The handshake on that stage was the final seal of a $100 million expansion deal money. Caldwell desperately needed to keep parts of his fragile empire standing. Amara saw the handshake as symbolic, proof that she belonged at the table that had long excluded women who looked like her. But when the moment arrived, Caldwell gave her a slow glance and a thin smile, then made his decision. He turned away. In front of everyone. It's not a word spoken, but the insult echoed loud enough to silence the room. Amara felt the sting, deep and unexpected. And in that instant, something changed. She didn't cause a scene. Public humiliation gives power to the humiliator, not the victim. So Amara left quietly. That night, inside her hotel room, she accessed her firm's internal files on Caldwell's business network. What had once been research meant to strengthen their partnership now became something else entirely. Caldwell's empire wasn't as invincible as it looked. It leaned heavily on fragile loans. International shipping contracts were backed by compliance shortcuts. Several of his real estate deals depended on regulatory loopholes that could evaporate under inspection. Amara made no threats. She simply stepped back. The next morning, her company withdrew from the deal. Without the partnership infusion, Caldwell immediately lost liquidity support. Lenders grew uneasy. Within days, 2 major insurers pulled shipping coverage after reevaluating Caldwell's overseas operations, citing new risk disclosures filed by Amara's analysts. As part of a routine compliance process, a business journalist caught wind of the financial stutter. Markets panicked. Banks tightened lending. Stock analysts downgraded valuations. Construction projects halted mid-development when funding froze. Caldwell tried to stabilize the chaos, but his advisors kept delivering bad news. The shutdowns warranty-coordinated attacks. They were dominoes triggered by the same. Regulatory vulnerabilities no one had bothered to fix. Video footage resurfaced online the moment Caldwell refused the handshake, and it went viral. Public anger surged. Sponsors pulled away from association. Investors feared association. Contracts evaporated overnight. And Amara remained silent. Not a single interview, no gloating, just quiet calculation as his empire began to cave inward. The final break came during Caldwell's emergency shareholder address. As he assured investors everything was under control, news alerts flashed across phones inside the room. Multiple government agencies had begun full compliance investigations into his conglomerate based on documentation first submitted weeks earlier by independent investment firms. Those firms were all indirectly connected to Amara. Trading froze, shares tanked. Credit lines collapsed. By the end of the day, Caldwell lost controlling authority over his primary assets. Properties across 3 continents were seized under default terms. His $5 billion empire was gone. Only then did Caldwell learn the truth. The woman whose hand he refused to shake was the very investor holding the lifeline he desperately needed, and the architect behind the scrutiny dismantling everything he had built. Amara never claimed revenge. She redirected her energy into new projects funding business, education for overlooked communities, and opening doors to those excluded by the same quiet prejudice she had faced herself. Her story spread less as scandal, more as warning. Because racism isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a look, a dismissal, a refusal to acknowledge someone's worth. But arrogance has consequences. Caldwell learned that lesson too late. All it took was one moment of disrespect to awaken a force powerful enough to destroy a $5 billion empire. And the world was left with a haunting question. How many people have been quietly overlooked who held the power to change everything?